Hi, I'm Jim Ziegler, the Alpha Dog, and this is the Dog Pound.
Some
Oh,
crazy eyes.
everybody doesn't look like themselves today, but I promise you, it's the same old crew. Dog Pound Posse. We've been spending 10 minutes talking about new hairstyles. So,
New hairdo.
It's important.
It is.
oh yeah. Well, my wife says that's important. I understand.
Yeah.
And the Empress of Executive Management.
The Empress. I had to correct someone about my new title last week, Jim, because they called me the Queen of BDC. Hence the whole they always mix us up thing. I was like, no. Empress of Executive Management. Thank you.
Miss Jennifer Briggs, one of the most brilliant persons in the car business, and from the Dog Pound, the Duchess of Productivity.
I love that. Best title ever. Best title
That's
ever.
phenomenal.
I absolutely love it. I've got business cards going to the printer as we speak. I
support
Duchess of Productivity from Horn Automotive Group, Miss April Simmons. And the Mad Russian, the the king of Reinsurance. Okay, I've got to get all these titles down pat.
Yeah,
The
I'm going to
king of
order a
Reinsurance, the king of Reinsurance, the curmudgeon of the group, my friend Max Zanan. How's the king of Reinsurance doing today, big guy?
Listen, it's another day in paradise, and USA is playing Iran. It's a big day for us.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we can't lose this one. We cannot lose to Iran.
On many different levels.
On many different, but the problem is they can't lose.
Correct. We have to win or we're going home.
We can't talk about hair, but we can have a whole sports conversation that involves politics, boys. Come on.
No. Iran made it about politics. I'm sorry.
Kidding. I'm just kidding.
And the queen of BDC, the monarch of business development.
Get me a crown.
Bobbie Herron. Okay. How about that? You're a redhead this week.
I am. I was feeling like I needed a change. You know, the women change their hair when they're going to change their life. And I'm not really good with goal setting for New Year's Eve. So I decided I needed to go into the first of the year as a sassy Spitfire redhead, similar to my best friends.
Okay, well, should I grow a ponytail and get an earring? I mean, what do we need to do here?
I triple dog dare you.
Listen, I'll just send you a wig. You don't even need to grow it out. I will have it. It'll be, you can get it the same color from that. I'm thinking about that one bodybuilding photo that you showed us when you had.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You get like a, you know what? We've got you. We have lots of wigs. We've got this. No problem. You know what you can't see, and this is unnecessary, but I'm going to share it anyways because it's so amazing, is that this hair color fades from a deep red to a blonde at the bottom. And had it cooperated before this show and been down, it would have been revolutionary.
Okay, this week we're going to talk about my favorite subject. Digital retailing has failed. It didn't happen. Now, I'm not saying you don't.
This is going to be an interesting conversation.
I'm not saying you don't need a digital retailing tool, but nobody is doing it the way they said it was going to happen.
Well, and I don't know if failed is the right term, Jim, because it depends on whose expectations we were going off of. When you look at the big groups, they've all seen year-over-year, quarter-over-quarter growth in end-to-end online sales. Now, is it the be-all, end-all that everybody thought, or some people speculated it was going to be? No, of course not, because again, we're talking about a major financial.
Now, I'm not saying you don't need to have a digital retailing tool. I'm just saying people transacting online is still a minority of the consumers. Nobody has been able to force feed the consumers to take delivery of the car at home and to pull the trigger. They still want to drive the car. They still talk to the BDC. They're still communicating with the dealership before they make a decision. They are not just making a decision online and taking delivery offsite. That's not happening.
Counter question for the group. Is it because the consumer is not choosing to, or is it because the dealer will not participate fully in the way that digital retailing tools work?
No. The dealers made a good effort.
Data.
Max, jump in here. Bobbie's out of line here. Come on.
You better have something good.
So I remember when COVID just started, right? There were these digital retail extremists, right, that were convinced that this is the break that the industry needed. And people will have no choice because of social distancing or fear of virus outside. But they will actually do this. And I have to say, on paper, it looked like a legit argument. But reality is completely different, right?
I don't know if you're allowed to counter this when your Wi-Fi isn't sticking, because you can't do digital retailing right now.
So
this is the most fiery subject you can throw at me, because I will get.
Let's go to a woman.
Get it, April. As long as you're
woman
on
who has 13 stores.
I'm just gonna get. I just get.
Did you guys make? Did you guys, April? Did you guys make a sincere effort for digital retailing, or did you just half-ass go at it? What did you do?
We didn't change anything. We did. We've been doing the same thing for the last 10 years. But before I get into what digital retailing really is and what it is not, I will start and I will preface with a disclaimer. I understand that there are different things in different areas of the country, and different people have different obstacles depending on the backyard that they stand in. In my backyard, nothing changed. First of all, while we didn't shut down, and I will tell you, this is where I get feisty. In April of 2020, I had every OEM screaming and yelling about how we had to have digital retailing and the end-to-end sales and this, that, and the other.
Oh, the manufacturers pushed all the chips in. Yes, they did,
Right.
Dumbasses.
Right? Now, I've had my digital retailing tools for over a decade. So when I say I didn't change anything, it's because we already had digital retailing tools. Do I believe in digital retailing tools? Yes, I 1,000,000% do.
We need them. We need those tools.
Very first customer in the Phoenix Metro a decade ago, right? 10 years ago. So yes, I believe in digital retailing. But what is digital retailing to me? I'm going to tell you how simple I think it is. Everything evolves, right? We evolved from you only could walk in to BDCs, to phones, to chat, to texting, all these things. Those are evolvements. Digital retailing to me is the evolving of all of those online tools like the payment calculator and the KBB, fill in your trade-in information. What digital retailing is a true evolvement of all of those tools that we have been using, just making it cleaner, easier, more customer friendly. And those dealers that I feel understand that and respect that and use that properly with the customer mind first are the ones winning. People who jumped off the ledge and said, yeah, we're going to sell cars A to Z, and forgot the part where the human to human interaction was still the most important to most consumers. They're the ones now saying, throw it out. Digital retailing is great, but you've got to understand what your tool is there for.
Well, and this is something that I have said from the very beginning, and much like April, like with these OEMs pushing things, one of my stores in the middle of nowhere in the thumb of Michigan was the very first Chevrolet store to sell a car on Shop Click Drive 10, 11 years ago, right? When they first started pushing it. But what I'm going to tell you, I think we have made a failure. It's two parts. One thing, we're fishing in the wrong pond. You know, everybody was like, oh, here's what CARVANA is doing. Here's what VROOM is doing. Use it for acquisition of customers. But the customers who are more likely to transact with you online are the ones that have already looked you in the eye. Nobody was actively mining and pushing this as a sales strategy to their loyalty, their owner database. It was all acquisition. What can I do? I'm going to put a banner on my website so people can shop by payment. But they didn't.
We did everything the digital retail companies told us to do.
So we missed the opportunity. We missed the golden opportunity because COVID was that golden opportunity. And there's a comment in a sidebar, which is really a good one. It says, a lot of people confuse digital retailing with full e-commerce.
That's your
And for a regular, consumer, digital retail is full e-commerce. For a regular car buyer, they don't care about the KBBs and the payment calculators. But the fact that we couldn't pull this off during COVID tells me that in our lifetime, we will not be able to pull this off again. And here's why. Once the inventory back, triple net deals are coming back. And you need F&I to save your ass, right? And you cannot do F&I online. You need a belly-to-belly interaction. You need these professionals to actually take a negative deal and make it into a positive deal.
Wait a minute. They told us that F&I online was better than F&I face-to-face.
I don't know.
Listen,
I don't know who told
things.
anybody that, but
Everybody buys a service contract online.
This is our most fiery topic, and so I'm gonna step
Max
aside
was
for a
operating
second.
on a falsity. Max just said the consumer thinks digital retailing is full e-commerce, and no, they do not, Max. If you look at how consumers are engaging on automotive websites, both third-party sites and dealership websites, you will see that they are engaging with different components of the tool up to where they feel comfortable. You are the one.
Oh, yeah, we know that. We know that they will partially buy the car, but nobody pulls the trigger and transacts.
Well,
Relatively.
that's also not
Sean
true.
Stapleton did years ago. I remember that.
Relatively nobody.
Right. That's why you remember it. Because only one.
No, I remember it because it was used in a program. And I'll tell you this. I agree with what April said about being in a backyard, but let me just give you the actual definition of digital retailing real quick. And anybody who wants to Google this can. Digital retailing is a process that enables a fully integrated, connected buying experience that makes the car buying journey more convenient and less time consuming for customers. It is not the definition of the product, the technology, or the process that it be an e-commerce platform. So when we argue this, we're arguing semantics.
We're talking about Darwin. We're talking about AutoFi. We're talking about
They are not designed.
We're talking about all the failures that didn't happen.
Well, but I want to just separate the two terms, like Jeremy Leach said, because AutoFi, all of those, they allow the customer to go on a connected journey to the point where they are comfortable with. And in a lot of cases, a dealer is not following that process.
Yes, of course. Of course.
But can they buy the car fully online? Sure. But that is not digital retailing. That's e-commerce.
That's what they told us was going to happen, though. Everybody predicted it was going to happen. Didn't happen.
Vendors who jumped on a bandwagon.
You failed. You failed.
We have an FTC that has to make rulings right now about people mismarketing things online. Do you believe that if they had to do that right now, that the dealers are actually following through with what the process says? Because working with hundreds of them, they're not. Right? There's some really great dealers out there that are, and I'm not talking as a generalization, but I can tell you that personally,
she's talking to you.
I watched that. Yeah, I'm saying if you signed up for a digital retailing tool and you didn't want a digital retool or you didn't want an e-commerce platform, but you used it for conversion, you're wasting the time of your BDC and your salespeople because those customers will not convert the same way. That's what I'm saying. It's a full process.
Yeah, I
totally disagree with that, like 150 million%, because again, and I say this in my backyard, we actually, and here's what's cool. I'm going to tell you, I use Car Now, and they actually have now a GA4. The ability, the event tracking is so deep, right? Yeah. So I not only can tell what customers are engaging with the tool where, but I can see exactly where they started dealing with these tools. And as I look at least at my data, because I do believe in facts, not feelings, right? Yep. So I'm looking at the data, and what the data is telling me is that the majority of the customers, to the tune of 99%, don't want to buy the car this way. They want to
99%. Right. That's a big ass.
Oh no, we're not in disagreement.
99% is a big
no, we're not in disagreement. I agree with you 100%. What I'm saying is when the dealer puts pricing online that includes rebates that don't qualify or call for best price, the consumer is not led to have any type of fulfillment or safety net to say, I can follow this through online if I want.
Are you putting bad numbers up?
No, and you're right.
No, lots of people do. So what I'm saying is a consumer given an option might choose to follow through if they can trust what they saw and that it followed in the showroom. Yeah, I agree with you.
No, okay. So just to clarify, because again, I think a lot of people when they say digital retailing and end to end is not necessarily what you're saying, Bobbie. What I'm hearing is what you're actually saying is that we need to make sure that we are aligning with what we are showcasing our customers.
That's not what I was saying either. Now, was it?
Yeah.
Was that what?
I mean, it won't convert as it comes
saying.
in. I mean, if it comes in as a lead,
we were told
it's not
people were going to transact online. We were told people were going to transact online. Didn't.
Yeah, but nobody really believed it. Come on.
All the dealers
a lot of people
did.
believed it.
Motors did. Ford did. Ford bought into it.
We're talking about dealers right now.
Okay, look. In defense, the OEMs all bought into it because they were all working from home. Those of us that were still ponying up and coming to the store every day did not buy into it because
they would buy a car that way and they think they are the consumer.
Let's be real. Anybody who has a co-op program with an OEM knows that the best salesperson, PR person went in and sold the product.
Bingo.
That's how they got approved.
And what a great business opportunity for them to jump on a bandwagon and create a mass amount of buy-in across the board.
This is fun show.
I love digital retailing because digital retailing puts the right message in front of the right customer at the right time and gives them the option to convert and research in the way they want to without having to leave our site. It gives us an opportunity to turn a lead into an opportunity for a sale.
Perfectly said, Bobbie.
Thank you.
Okay, now I want to ask April a question.
Two different things. End-to-end and digital retailing
are totally different.
Okay, let me ask April a question. April, you got the stats of 13 stores, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and you're in Phoenix, which is a very sophisticated, educated market overall. Yeah. It's a high, overall it is. Come on now. Come on. Okay. What percentage of consumers are buying F&I products online?
How many are buying F&I products online?
Zero. I'm going to answer this for April. Zero.
Wait a minute. Zero. I was told that service contracts would outperform a face-to-face F&I manager. That's what we were told.
Guys, I sell F&I products for a living. I am yet to hear from a dealer that they sold any of my products online.
No. And the hard part is I agree with, again, going back to the difference between digital retailing and buying online. There's a difference.
But they tell us that digital retailing will outperform.
F&I online should be just like everything else, educational. I'm perfectly happy putting information out there so the customer can predetermine what kind of things they need to look at or ask about or whatever. It's about self-education and to
are they buying the stuff? Are they buying the stuff?
No. How would they be buying it if you're not doing end-to-end? That's the other thing, right? Like,
how could they buy it?
Call back on a cash deal and try to sell a warranty. It's not a bad idea to have not only is it a good idea to have the research available on your website, it's also incredibly good for your SEO.
Well, and I would be really curious because I know a lot of vendors watch the show of these people that we're kind of saying, you made a lot of promises. Where's the data to back it up? I think one of the things with the F&I products, and I have some stores that set them up in their digital retailing tools, but I know feedback from those different partners that I've worked with, most dealers don't actually even add the F&I products to the digital retailing tool. So there's not even a chance to give the educational exposure that April is talking about. But
she's got the ability on her site to do it.
Yeah, but I don't want to if I didn't have to. I'd rather only offer education and not offer any packages and pricing and stuff like that. Because just like everything else, we want to really align with a customer and make sure that they're getting the best bang for the buck across the board in those different products, right? So I don't think that it should all be out there that way. However, I do have some OEMs where I'm forced to. I don't have an option. You must put in the ability for them to buy the online product. So in those stores where it is there, I will answer a second time, 0.
I like your 0. That was a solid, that was a big fat 0. It wasn't like a little guy.
So if you have purchased, how many times have they clicked the button to add it to a pencil?
Never.
0.
Never.
Never. If you don't have it preloaded.
Let me ask Jennifer a question.
A lot of my stores, they do add at least tire and wheel, some different products that the consumer, but I see it vary brand by brand and in different parts of the country. We don't see the end-to-end purchases, but I do want to share, as we're talking about statistics, I think a lot of times when we look at what is going to be coming in the market, especially with used car values rapidly declining, I think we are going to have to broaden our backyard a little bit. And when we look at the 6.1% investment of AutoNation in TrueCar, I can't help but think that it's because of the distance retailing product they recently put out. If you look at Sonic's Echo Park sales, 7% of the Q3 Echo Park sales were end-to-end. 100% online, end-to-end. Now, that is a 39%.
That's not a number that I would be proud of.
It's
7%.
slaughtering everybody else's
We're
numbers.
talking about what some of the people will do a minority of the time.
Yeah, but
We're not talking about what most of the people will do most of the time. And they
We're
made an
talking
effort.
about-
They made an effort.
They made an effort, but they understand the purpose. The purpose.
They invested heavily.
They did invest very heavily.
They got 7%. 7% sucks.
No. You misunderstand the statistic.
Oh, yeah.
7% transacted 100% end-to-end online. 90% of the consumers on the website engaged with the tool. So, but
Well,
again,
I never said they wouldn't engage with the tool. I never said that. I want to have the tool. I tell everybody, buy one of the digital retail tools, but don't believe the crap they tell you. Now, Jennifer, I got to ask you a question.
I love how spicy
you know the answer to, Jennifer. You know the answer. What do I say about stats? Figures lie when liars figure.
Well, I'm not
Figures lie when liars figure.
Stats and data are not the same thing.
5 of the largest automotive group Q3 sales statistics right here in front of me in preparation for the show.
Okay.
So
7% is a true statistic.
I did not prepare, so I'm just going to co-sign my belief in her.
And we all know, as the certified business analyst, accidental car guy, I don't mess around and insert a different adjective there if we weren't on the show with data and statistics, because what it can do is it can show us how to prepare. And I don't think you should ever, no offense, vendor partners, I don't think you should ever believe wholeheartedly what they tell you. It's a sales
Any vendor.
Say it again. Louder for those in the back.
It is a sales pitch. They are going to say whatever they need to get you to sign the contract. What you need to do is understand how this can help you to reduce the friction for your customers transacting.
Well, Jennifer,
in any way they choose.
let me get a word in for a second. 1 second. I interviewed all of the major so-called digital retail tools that were out there. I interviewed every one of them. I got every one of them. I interviewed, I'm not going to name them. We know who they were. I interviewed 5 of them. Every one of them said that, well, when you install our tool on your website, if you install our tool on your website, your F&I penetration will go up. We will sell more service contracts than that. Every one of them said that.
So
every single one of them. It's not, April, is that happening?
Finance managers, finance products, highly trained finance managers sell finance products.
Yeah,
well,
every single one of them said F&I penetration would go up if you put our digital retail on your site.
Is it though? How many people have an increased KPI on their F&I
tool
penetration in the office for products that they now have knowledge of?
But,
I don't know.
Jim,
Now that is, I was just going to ask the same
I don't
question.
know.
I was like, now to clarify, I can't tell you if penetration goes up because customers come in and they're less guarded about the product because they
I don't know.
Nobody watches the videos. I've had them privately admit that to me one after another. Hey, well, actually, nobody's watching them. But
and of the ones that have guaranteed that I have, and I did a similar. I did a similar research project where I actually did a request for product information over 17 digital retailing softwares. And the only time there was a guarantee was with 3 of the different vendors that instituted a very strict on-site showroom process as well, not just for installing the tool on the website. So it's a connective point where you're setting that expectation online and then making sure that you follow up with the in-store process that the consumer sees. Those are the ones, in at least the evaluations I did, that were guaranteeing an increase in PVR.
Now, see, I was talking to Brian Kramer when they were selling 500 units a month back when he worked for Germain Toyota of Naples before he became a communist and went with cars.com. But anyway, back when Brian was working for the dealership, they were using Prodigy. I believe they were using Prodigy, which turned its name to Upstart. Bad move. But anyway, they changed their name to Upstart. They should have stayed Prodigy.
There's a reason for that. And when they're done and ready to roll it out, you're going to love it.
Okay. I like Prodigy. I like it a lot. I like AutoFi. You know, even Frickin' Tech has its good points. But the point is, nobody is using it the way they sold it. And the manufacturers thought it was going to happen that way. No, Brian Kramer told me that yes, they were using that digital retail tool in the showroom when people, you know, they were using it as a showroom closing tool. I agree with that, but relatively few people will ever transact totally online.
I like something you just said something.
I want to make a different point.
Hold on.
How easy it is.
No, we're not losing what he just said. What he just said, you all heard it, right? They're not using it the way it was sold to them.
Right.
Let me just leave that there for a minute.
So I want to make a simple point. The dealers are so gullible that you can sell them anything. And digital retail is the prime example, right? They all bought it, right? Even though people that are selling it have never ever worked a single day in F&I, right?
Gullible is not the right word.
Yeah.
Can I give a pro tip real quick? I'm gonna just give a dealer pro tip real quick.
Gullible, you need to go up a tier.
Yeah, I need to give you guys a dealer pro tip real quick, okay? If you're a dealer. Here's a pro tip for you. Adding in a new piece of technology when your process and your people are not prepared to utilize it and to fully convert it is a waste of money. That doesn't mean it's a bad product, and it doesn't mean that it won't work.
Bobbie, you are 100% wrong. You are so wrong.
It's true. And here's what I'll tell you. Nope, Bobbie, I'm so right. And here's what I'll tell you.
You're blaming on the dealership and the people. It's a problem of. It's not that the dealership and the people are not the problem.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
You're selling it as the dealership.
But there's problems on both ends. There's problems on the vendor side and there's problems on the dealer side. And everybody is to blame for it. But let me give you this pro tip, people. All right, here's my pro tip for you. If you are working with the CRM, I'm going to use Vin. We all know that I work with Vin a lot, so I'm going to throw it out there. Doesn't mean I love everything they do, okay? If you are working with Vin, you have the ability right now in your system to turn any closed RO, which funnels in every single night using op codes or really anything you want. You want to put a star on it? That counts too. From that, you can filter out things that are sent out to customers. So for example, you can create an automation drip that goes out to a customer who's about to come out of warranty that automates every night. And when they reply, and you should do it before this, since everybody wants to talk about how relationships matter, if you guys would get on the damn phone, that'd be helpful. When they reply back, pick up the phone and work out some plus business on some service contracts instead of trying to stick a piece of technology on your website and then gauge it based on car sales at the front of the house. F&I products are meant to be sold by F&I professionals. Research should be done before. A customer should be able to play with the tool to see if they can afford it or if they have questions or so they know what to research next. And if you don't provide it, your competitor will. And then they'll follow them around with data so they don't come back to your website. How about, while we're always talking about how great the F&I managers are in the world, and I was one of them for a long time, so let's put this out there. Pick up the damn phone and call a customer from service, walk your ass back there and have a conversation and work the service drive like sales does. Or let's try this. Just do 5 tasks a day in your CRM and you probably wouldn't need a tool.
Wait, hang on, Bobbie.
Okay.
You mean you actually expect a finance manager to log into a CRM?
I believe the finance manager is the best professional in the store to explain and sell the product. I agree with
We
Max.
need to sell.
What I don't agree with is that everybody wants to always talk about how it should go to so-and-so or it should do this. But right now, for free in your very expensive CRM, you can automate this. Don't know how? Call your performance manager. Want to pay to learn how? You can call me.
No, we don't
Otherwise,
automate F&I. Never automate F&I.
No, not automated.
automate
Jim.
F&I.
What she's talking about is the same thing I said, that we have failed with digital retailing because we're looking at acquisition. We're not looking at our own database. And we've talked about this
F&I
before.
managers need to Zoom broadcast with a customer and have a FaceTime
For
with the
sure.
customer.
But
And
what
I can
Bobbie
show
is
them how to have
saying
the
is-
opportunity without a tool. I can show you, and so can your performance manager for free in your CRM, how every night when between this year and this year, this make and model, this amount of miles with a driver who averages this, should be sent that information, that video, which by the way, I think should be made by the
They won't watch the video. Consumers
That's
don't
okay.
watch
We don't care if they
service
watch it. We
contract
care if they
video.
engage
Quit
with
it.
us. The video is not designed to sell the product. The video is designed to humanize the person so that they can be trusted for a conversation about finance over a Zoom. And it's free. And if you're already paying for the tool and you're not also doing this, you're not doing it right.
Right. So we're beating up on digital retailing software companies. Bobbie is just
Some of them deserve
it. And I've put dedicated.
I just got a
people
couple
to
of
do
texts.
this
I just got a
service.
text. I have to say something. Let me save some. Brian Kramer is not a communist because he worked for cars.com. That was a joke. Brian Kramer is a personal friend of mine, and I've called him a communist.
He's a personal friend of most of ours.
I do not mean that he really is a communist. That was a joke.
Brian, we're glad you're tuned into the show, though. Thanks for watching and hanging out with us. You could have joined us today.
Okay.
But that
to the
is an
subject.
excellent point that Bobbie is making. And it's not just at the ROs. And if someone's coming to certain intervals where they're going to be at an end of a contract, yes. You can also, in your sold follow-up process, if they decline different products, schedule tasks for your finance manager. They are supposed to be the best closer in your entire dealership, but we don't even look at different ways with existing
This is a side
technology.
subject. We're getting off the main subject.
If you're
No,
not
we're talking
able to get
about
people to
digital
buy
retailing.
service, right? If you're not able to get people to
This
buy
is
service
digital
contracts
retailing.
after the sale because you don't have a financing product, I hear that Max just launched one. You could call him about it later.
Okay, now.
Okay, I have to like summarize this a little bit, because what Bobbie and Jennifer are saying are absolutely right. I 100%, if we're trying to increase business, if today you're a dealer watching, you're like, I want to sell more cars tomorrow, the first thing you do is you look for the low-hanging fruit, right? The things that I can do right now that will increase business. And from there, you grow and you grow and you grow. And somewhere down the road, you get that higher fruit, right? The fruit that's at the top of the tree.
Right.
The end-to-end digital retailing sale is the top of the free fruit. Do I want the top of the free fruit? Yes. Do I want Jiffy Lubes to not exist anymore and everybody to come to my service drive? Yes. But at the end of the day, I'm going to do the things today to try to get the most car sales today that will impact the dealership today. Mm-hmm. So that goes back to what the things Jennifer and Bobbie are saying. So Jim, they are not off subject. What they're really saying is, hey guys, before you go and worry about selling a car end to end, there's a whole lot of other low-hanging fruit that we need to be making sure we handle first.
And if
Does
you're
everybody
trained right,
know Summer?
Hi, Summer. Summer was trained to work in her CRM as a leader in a BDC and now a finance manager, which I'm also very proud of you for. Well done, lady.
Okay, we understand.
How much you paid Summer for this comment?
Not $1. She used to write checks to me.
Okay, now I had also said in the preamble to this show that all of the disruptors have failed. And of course, we're talking about VROOM, we're talking about CARVANA, bleeding money out of every artery.
Right.
I mean,
this is the only option they gave. It's all about giving consumers a way to connect and to transact in a way that they like. If you only give consumers one option, you're ignoring the majority of people. And I think, again,
who said that last week? Wait a minute. I said I'd pay attention to what most of the people will do most of the time, as opposed to what some of the people will do some of the time.
We listen to
CARVANA
you.
and VROOM concentrated on some of the people. And guess what? They exhausted that market. There are no more of those people for 5 years until
Right.
they
Well, and not even exhausted, but left a nasty taste in people's mouths.
Yeah. You know
And
what I
know
wish?
for their consumers and their employees. You want to see good customer satisfaction numbers? Look at your employee satisfaction numbers.
You know what I wish? I wish that 20 groups around the country looked like this instead of everybody patting each other back and telling them they look great all day and they're doing so freaking nice with their fake numbers. Because a respectful conversation and a collaboration is important. And it doesn't mean that we have to agree. That's why our audience loves to watch these things with us and talk with us, because we don't agree on all these things.
I have talked to
in-
more than
out of it.
220 groups. 220 groups. I was the featured speaker. And I can't tell you how many times they said, Jim, we're going to cut a half hour out of your presentation because of tea times.
Look, I have offered to come to any
Because
20
the
group.
tea times.
I have offered to come to
Tea-
any 20
tea
group
time.
and get real with them. And there have been a handful that, well, more than a handful that have taken advantage of it. But I wish that there were more conversations like this about things we disagree on, because agreeing with each other doesn't make us right. It makes us soft.
It doesn't make us enemies,
No, we're all great
except
friends.
some
I
of
mean,
except some of those lead
Jim's like my
promoters.
bonus dad, and we don't always agree on things. It's a respect thing. And I wish that more people could have conversations that they disagreed about and be respectful to one another while they do it.
Exactly.
Okay, so VROOM and CARVANA are
Yeah.
crashing hard. I mean,
Did you see
they're on
Car-
life support?
Carvana is suing the state of Michigan now to challenge losing their license. Did I see that
Really?
headline? I'm
Am I
certain
the
I saw
only
that
one?
headline.
Am I the only person who thinks that Carvana planned this from the get-go? Am I the only one who thinks they also jumped on a bandwagon, saw an opportunity to make a lot of money in the stock market, and planned this from the get-go?
CARVANA was founded by a convicted felon whose felony that he was convicted of had to do with cheating people out of their life savings. But no. Come on now. I mean, Ernest Garcia Sr., the daddy convicted felon, and that wasn't mentioned when they went public with their stock. You know, that
Yeah,
he
but
was
like
charged.
that, like
There's
that
gotta be
is
a vetting
not
process there.
abnormal for
Guys,
the Carvana.
sophisticated investors are really gullible. You know, look at Bernie Madoff, look at FTX, look at Carvana, look at VROOM, right? I mean, there are plenty of examples. So just because somebody invested, doesn't mean
I don't think it's
It's a
about
good
being
investment.
gullible. I think across the board that people think when they don't understand something that it is stronger for them to pretend that they do and then find themselves in these positions than it is to come out and say, I don't know enough about that topic, or I need more information on it. They see that as a weakness instead of a strength, and then they end up in positions like this. I don't know everything, and I am not afraid to tell you when I don't, and I'm not afraid to ask. And my company isn't crashing and burning right now. So seems like a pretty solid business philosophy to me.
Yes.
I thought-
Sorry,
I
we just
thought- yeah,
scored. We just scored.
Oh, did we score? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you watching the soccer match?
I am. I told
He's
you.
our sports reporter today. I like how you were able to get in some F&I jabs in there, and you didn't even catch when I gave one, which means that's
I
when
can
you were watching the
multitask.
game.
Okay, let's talk about something really cool. I've got five dealer association presidents joining us next week.
I'm so excited for this conversation.
I've got 5 of them.
I would love for people to tell us in the comments what kind of questions they want us to talk about on that show. What questions do they have? What kind of commentary would they like to see? I would love for everybody that listens and puts in comments, even if you don't normally comment, give us your feedback right here on this show. And that way we can prepare for these conversations in a way that not just is what we think benefits our industry, but is actually as a representative of you.
I've got Don Hall, who's been on before,
From
who's been
Virginia.
a personal friend of mine for 25 or 30 years. Don Hall and I go way back. He hired me many times to talk to that organization. He's been with VAD, Virginia Auto Dealers, for a long time. We've got Jared Wyrick from West Virginia. And the reason I have the West Virginia Auto Dealers Association on, because they are taking on forward heads up about the splitting corporations on their dealers. Okay, we have Bob Okonewski, who has been on before,
Mhm.
and Bob is from the Massachusetts Dealers Association. And we have, okay, I've got to get these names correct. Hang on one second.
I feel like we have another Bob.
Jason Wilson
Yeah.
from the Kentucky Auto Dealers Association. And once again, these are people that are taking on the manufacturers heads up. And we've got Marty Milstead from the Mississippi State Dealers Association. So we got 5 high-powered dealer association presidents, all who have one thing in common. They're taking on the manufacturers with their organizations. That's coming up next week, December 6th, 2 p.m., right where you're watching this broadcast right now.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one. And I think the important, if you can't join us live for the show, like Bobbie was saying, some questions would be helpful. But ultimately, especially like we had the president of the National Automobile Dealers Association a few weeks ago. And the biggest thing we need to do from a dealer perspective is to be more involved and find out what's going on and how it's going to impact us. So I love that, because we've said before, what are your dealer associations doing to help you further this? So now is an opportunity, not only if you're in Virginia, West Virginia, Massachusetts, Mississippi, or Kentucky, but anywhere, to start asking those questions and find out what's happening in your state.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Royce Townsend is who made that comment right there too, just so everybody knows. It doesn't always come across with your name. So it's helpful if you put your name at the end if you want it to be public. But those questions that just came across from Royce.
If you're answering on the sidebar from a private group, it won't list your name. Okay, what do we got here? Okay.
Agreed. That's why we're trying to fight alongside of them and bring them on and have these conversations and start really getting the word out to everybody, because every one of you included, make a difference in this fight as long as we all stand up and take a seat at the table.
I think there's so many people that don't know that this fight is even going on or what the fight even is.
Bingo.
Education is the biggest problem that I see, is that if I walk down to the dealership and I ask them, hey, what's going on with the FTC? All they're thinking about is the one that already passed. They don't even realize this new one's going on. There's not enough education out there, and I don't know why we're not all talking about it. NADA, the local associations. I mean, the elections sent me 9 million text messages a day.
Right?
How do we not have a database of people
You're right.
that are working in automotive that are getting these messages? Hey, sign this petition. Hey, do this.
Because they send them through antiquated email marketing platforms instead of text marketing. I get them from the dealer association in my spam.
And only even at a certain level, if you're on it. So Don Hull and I started a great conversation after his last show with us. Don Hull and I had this great conversation. I hope we continue it. But even if we don't, I hope that they continue it internally, to take people who have massive audiences, who stand on stages, who have networks, who influence our industry, and get the word out to everybody, from the porter in the back of the dealership washing the car to the dealer principal, on how it affects them, how it's important, and how we educate based on age, based on demographic, based on culture, and how we really get the word out there. I hope that next week starts a new conversation about that topic.
And then what we can do about it. Like that's the other side. Like, it's great for us to sit back and be like, I don't want that to happen. But what do we do to make sure it doesn't? What are the steps and the actions that need to happen by every individual to do their part? How can you do your part?
Yeah.
I think that's
the website the website this broadcast ultimately ends up on had 143,000 views of videos last month, thanks in part to Bobbie Herron. And because we're doing some really great SEO here.
You heard that, Donald, right?
I'm asking everybody to please to share this broadcast. Hit the share button right now, and hit the share button, please, and
And if you're not familiar on that platform, very good, Max. As we're laying the groundwork for the state dealer associations who are going to join us next week, I would just like to point out that we did have the CEO and president of NADA on with us a few weeks ago. And if you missed that broadcast, you can go to Alpha Dog On Demand and watch it and get up to speed on those issues that he was speaking on from a national level. So I think that's going to be the first thing for folks who are thinking about joining or watching next week. Get on Ziegler On Demand, Alpha Dog On Demand, and pull up that broadcast that we did with Mike a few weeks ago.
Does anybody know the exact date we did that broadcast?
I was
I don't have it in front of me, but
Chelsea's watching. Chelsea, can you go on to Ziegler On Demand and find that broadcast and then share in the comments here what the date was?
I believe it was the first week of October. I
think so too, but I can't recall.
I don't have my book in front of me. Right.
That's okay. We'll get it shared.
But anyway, we're talking about all the disruptors that were going to change the industry. The stuff we've always done still works.
It does.
The stuff we've always done still works. We just put technology into it.
So that still works too.
We just injected technology into it.
I think
the stuff we've always done still works.
The stuff that we do in our sales process still works because it's based on behavior and control patterns with psychology. Of course, it still works. Marketing, however, is not the same thing. And I think sometimes we confuse marketing and sales when we're talking about like digital retail or things online. We think like, oh, that product, that's a sales product. No, it's not. It's a marketing product. Not every piece of technology that you put on your website that's designed for conversion is a sales conversion product. It's a marketing conversion product. And it allows for the data to be given to then follow around and drip to the customer the appropriate message at the appropriate time. And if you aren't sure which one it is, don't ask the salesperson who sold it to you. Ask a person who's qualified to be able to tell you what the KPI is for actually measuring that. Because a lot of vendors are out there selling. And look, I hate on the vendors all the time. I'm known for it. I got a 40 under 40 for not letting vendors lie to dealers, and I still won't. That doesn't mean I don't believe there's good ones out there. It means we're not going to play that game. So it's really easy.
Nobody lets the vendors stop lying to dealers because
it's crazy to me.
Lying to dealers
the
forever.
whole reason I opened my company was because of it. And so, you know, when somebody's selling you something, they're going to sell you on what you want to hear because that's an easier sale than what you actually need to hear. But the true KPI of a product might not be what you were sold on it being. And digital retailing included, there is a place in that for an algorithm drip to be able to follow somebody around. I'm trying to use generic words and not marketing words here. So if you're a marketer and you're like, what's she talking about? Like, come on, do the math. You talk to dealers all the time too. You know what I'm saying? We have pixels. We have everything that's following you around and doing stuff. And that matters too. But for sales, it is the same basic process still. It goes really easy like this. Answer the customer's question, acknowledge that they're educated in what they've done so far and you're not taking advantage of them. Ask for the appointment or the sale, give the customer what they need, and listen. Shut your mouth and listen. They will tell you how to sell them a car.
Okay, we're getting into BDC talk. Let's go back.
No, that's digital retailing talk.
No. This commercial brought to you by Bees Knees Agency. Right. But anyway,
I'm sold out. You can't even hire me right now. So
it's about a process. You can't have success with a product without a process to go with it, regardless of the product.
Because here's the other elephant in the room that we're not talking about when we talk about digital retailing and the lack of the process. So Bobbie's 100% right. And again, she's not going off topic here. How many customers, when we don't have a process because we think we bought a product, my OEM forced me to have it, I put it up there. And because we're not actually listening, paying attention, recognizing, acknowledging it, we actually are telling our customers to go buy somewhere else. Right? It's not even so much about the gain, it's about the loss. So I think you have to, when we talk about KPIs, there's the performance of the gain, but there's also the performance of the loss. You have a lot to lose. If I have a digital retailing tool that's telling a consumer that I'm going to give them 13 grand for their trade, and then I have a BDC agent who calls them and is like, hey, great news, I give you 9 grand for that trade. And we don't even recognize or acknowledge the conversation that they had with our tool on our website, we just lost a sale, right? So there's communication both ways. And what we have to look at it as, if a consumer walks into your showroom and they say, hey, I was on KBB and KBB said I get 12 grand for my trade, what do we do in turn with that? We have a conversation with the customer. We talk about where they got it, what are they at, da, 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 da. It's a back and forth situation. Digital retailing is the same thing. They went online, they saw something online, they either liked it or didn't like it, and it is your job, whether you're on the phone, you're texting, you're chatting, you're face-to-face, it is your job to hear your consumer, align with them, and then you can start to sell them. Earn the right to sell your customer.
And if you don't pay attention to the engagement data, because we've talked a lot about the connecting things digitally to allow a consumer to transact the way that they want versus end to end. And I had asked a question earlier of April, how many people are clicking certain buttons? Because to her point on the trade, if that customer says to us in the middle of the showroom, I went on KBB and I saw this for my trade, instantly we know what's one of their hot points, right? But how many people are looking at that data inside of the digital retailing lead that comes into the CRM? Your customer's telling you, you just have to listen, whether it's a digital trail or right in front of you at your desk or on the lot. You have to pay attention in order to know. They will always tell you how to close them. Nothing has changed there.
Yep.
One thing we said earlier is that the manufacturers are making us use certain vendors. I'm going to make a statement. Everybody pay real close attention here. There are middle management people with some of the manufacturers, middle management people working in executive positions with some of the manufacturers. I'm not going to name them, and there's obvious reasons, who are on the take under the table from vendors to push their products.
No.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at a co-op product and it is absolutely bullshit, and you wonder why in the hell is the manufacturer pushing this bullshit product, there is got to be somebody in the background taking under the table money from the bullshit
They actually make it even worse because there are some products that are really, really great products, but they watered this crap down. In order to make it fit, they got to give them markup for these brokers for the OEM things. Because there was a really, really cool video product that I've used for years. Then they became part of a certain OEM certified package. And I'm like, oh, hell yeah.
Now you're shifting the subject right now.
We were excited about that.
Oh my gosh. And then I'm like, what happened? Well, in order to hit the OEM's cost and price objectives, we had to remove this, and this. So it's not even the same product. So it's not even necessarily just, Jim, that someone's on the take. It's that they are forcing something that doesn't fit for what a dealer needs or even how it's designed, how it's supposed to.
There are great products that will not accept co-op because they got to give up all their profit to a third-party broker in the middle.
Yeah. There are great products and there are great startup products right now. It's like Startup Alley kind of situation that are great products that are co-op approved. It's rare, but it happens. There are some really
crappy co-op.
Exactly. Here's the problem. The number one salesperson or PR person in the company is who's going to go in and sell it to the OEM. And that's who's going to walk into the 20 group or the vendor hall and sell it to you. And unfortunately, if you don't know how to ask those questions, there's no way you could know. There's no way you could even know that. But there are great products that are co-op approved. They're just few and far between.
Co-opable and turnkey are two different things.
Right.
So there are a lot of OEMs that will let you manually submit for co-op on other products, so long as it fits certain criteria. Heck, we've got Next Level Digital. We are doing co-op with about 8 different OEMs, and we are not part of any big thing, but they have to be manually submitted for. They are not turnkey. When you get into turnkey, that's the one size fits everyone type solution, which is only good for the OEM, not good for the dealer.
It's like all the words, if you're not used to hearing them as a marketing person, as a dealer, co-op, turnkey, LMA. These are very similar things, but they are different. Digital retailing, full e-commerce platform. We stress really using the different words so that when we're talking about them, you don't misconstrue when you walk away from this and go, but they said it was about this. That's why it's so important for us to make sure we're very clear with the words that we're using.
And because
what's
digital
the score
retailing
now, Max? What's the score?
It's halftime. It's 1-0.
You better have money on this if you're not paying attention.
He's watching a soccer game in the middle of the broadcast.
This is not
despite what your digital retailing vendor may or may not have told you when they sold you the product, I am going to strongly encourage you to take a look at how your consumers are engaging with the tool on your website. Mm-hmm. Is it helping to make your website stickier, right? The longer someone is on your site, the higher the probability of them calling you or filling out a form or chatting with you is. Yeah. So is it creating a stickier experience and allowing the consumer to transact in a way that they like? That's the way you have to measure it. If it's not helping to increase conversions, time on site, and giving your consumer answers to questions that they have until they're ready to have that conversation with you, then is it really doing what you need to do? Now, for full end to end, and I do think, I am definitely, I always like to watch the smart kids, so on and so forth, like especially with what we're seeing and what's going to continue to happen in the used car market. I do think that online retailing and the process behind it to allow you to ship used cars to different parts of the country is going to be important to maintaining profitability in that department over the next 6 months.
I want to throw in there.
Please read my current article in Digital Dealer Magazine. Yeah. My current article should be an eye opener because all the big public companies have started a private label used car superstore. Every one of them. Mm-hmm. And if you read my article in Digital Dealer Magazine, check it out because I'm advocating that dealers ditch the factory because that's why do you think Sonic or any one of these doesn't?
I think they've done the best job taking on Carvana, by the way, with the Echo Park model. Yes. I really do.
But the Echo Park model is more about ditching the manufacturer and having no ties to the manufacturer. The manufacturer can't get into your data because the manufacturers are trying to go to the direct sale retail to the customer. Guess what? If you ditch the manufacturer and they don't have any dealers all of a sudden, we're in the used car business. Now I'm telling every dealer need to start.
I want to throw out off of what you just said before we run out of time. While you're asking your vendor, your digital retailing vendor, and you should be everybody else, what I want you to ask them, in addition to what Jennifer and Jim just said, is I want you to ask them what data they scrape from your website when their tool is put on there and what they do with the data afterwards. And then I want you to ask for it in writing. They'll reference their legal department to get it in writing, and that will be the truth. And when you see how dangerous that is, that should be a factor in the tool that you choose, regardless of the conversion rate or the success level, especially since we have major dealers going into business with vendors right now. How do you think Car Gurus became such a big deal? They offered to list your listings for free and you let them.
And they're not such a big deal anymore. That's another vendor that's crashing.
They are for SEO, and they make it 10 times more expensive, if not more than that, for every dealer out there to do theirs.
Well, they do, but as far
because
as
we let them,
as far as succeeding internally, they're not a success in my book. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Dawg Pound, and I fully endorse and respect Bobbie's right to be wrong.
And I fully endorse and respect Jim's right to say that, which brings more attention to me being right. I'm his favorite daughter, so it's fine.
Oh my God!
Everybody, we got the state association executives, the presidents of 5 state dealer associations on next week. Don't miss this. Share this broadcast before we sign off. Hit the share button right now. Okay, everybody, wave goodbye to the audience.